All right, now let's finish this up. So this is step 7. Since we are in the mental mode of making things look 3D, creating depth, let's add a drop shadow to this thing. So this is what's cool about your appearance window is you could dictate where you want your effects and all that stuff to be. While we're here, let me change the colors of this thing really quick. Let me make this a little bit lighter. Oops, let's select this first. That would help. Here's my color. And then I'm going to lighten this a little bit. There you go. Now, so step 7. So now we're gonna select our stroke, the one that we had earlier. And this whole time, if this has been bothering you in terms of the curved edges and versus the sharp corners, this is also where you can fix that. So you're gonna go to stroke. So you can go here under your stroke, or you could go access this thing, same window right here. And then where it says corner, right now it's miter join. So you can select round join. Oops, let's select this first. There you go. Select this guy and hit round join. And that will fix your sharp corners right there, okay? So if that's been bothering you, there's your fix right there. Now let's go back to the tutorial. Click on this first, go back to your stroke, and now we're gonna add a drop shadow to this. So same thing as before, click on FX, and then go to stylize, where's that? Stylize and drop shadow. And then a new window will look like this, or it will pop out like that, looks like this. If you don't have your preview box checked, then you won't see the effects on there. I don't know why it's not turning this thing off, but anyways, you should make sure you have this clicked on so you can see the effect on here. And then while you're here, you're going to set the mode to multiply, which I believe it's the default. And opacity, you could play around with this. I'm just gonna lower this down to 50% because I don't want this to be too extreme and too dark. So I just want it to be a little bit softer. And then the X and Y offset, I'm going to set this to 0. So it's just right underneath it. And same as before, you could play around with the X and Y offset depending if you're using, or if you're using a light source. And in the blur, I'm going to set this to 0.05 instead of 0.0694. And then you could change your color over here. So right now it's set to black. If you want this to be a little bit more consistent with your color palette, then you can change it. Instead of black, you could change this to maybe a darker purple and then see what effects that gives you. So I'll use that and click OK. Phone. And then I'm going to click OK. And then there is a very subtle drop shadow in there. So I can click on the stroke right here, and if I wanted to see this design without the drop shadow, I can just turn this drop shadow visibility off. There's what it looks like without it, and there's what it looks like with it, okay? So there is your design right there, and then from here you could play around with, maybe you change your mind and you don't like that color for your gradient, you could switch to something more monochromatic or grayscale. Play around with this thing. Instead of going from yellow to just orange from left to right, maybe you want to switch it so you can use your gradient tools and play around with this thing if you want to, okay? And that is it. So play around with your text effects and then just follow the steps in the video, and then you should be good, okay?